Heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. Hello. And we're being broadcast live tonight on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. And also on YouTube World. So if you're over on YouTube, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. And no matter how you are hearing me, make sure you do stop by and say hello. Either in one of the chat rooms or send me an email at wildepaisley@gmail.com, and that's WILDEPAISLEY@gmail.com. And let's see, if you want to support the show, please do so. Love getting that support. You can go to etsy.com/shop/Monarch Mountain Studio. And that's MONARCHMTNSTUDIO. Or you can also go to the Patreon. That's patreon.com/the spaces between. And I see that YouTube's starting to have some people trickle in here. Magnificent, Jessica, Titan, Aussie, Elaine, Ethan. If I miss anybody. As y'all come in, I'll probably be talking and stuff. I'll just kind of be doing my own thing. And no, Ethan, I'm flying solo tonight. Which is why we did the insanity last night, and I'm going to be a little more serious tonight, but that's okay. Call line is open if you wanted to give a holler, and that is at 213-233-3998. Or if you're across the pond in the UK, it's 44203-393-2871. So hi all, happy Saturday to you. If you were looking for Paranormal Portal on Truth Frequency Radio, or YouTube World, not too long ago, or for the previous set, well, Mr. Don and Mr. Brent are off squatching, and yeah, they're hanging out around the campfire. And last I saw, Brent was live, and so they were gonna have fun trying to get in touch with their inner squatch. So, and that kind of cued, I think, a question from Titan, and that was, is there any protections that one can do that would guard against animal attacks or cryptids? And that one's a little harder. Hey, Suzanne. Hey, Kat. So, yes and no. I would say if you're going to do a charm to protect yourself against cryptids or any other creature, it would be a charm. You could do, yes, there are some stones you could wear, crystals. Research the ones that are going to give you more of a blending, I guess, into the world around you. Same with charms. And it's not so much that you're going to be hiding, just protection and or concealment. You could do knot spells. I did give Brent here not too long ago a charm for protection if he's out and about and doing things. And it was knot work, 100%. And basically, with knot work, as you do a spell, you're tying knots in some sort of cordage, and with that cordage, it sets that spell, that charm. So, yeah, lucky charms. Exactly, Jess. So, that's basically it. So, other than that, situational awareness is very important. If you're out in the woods at night, flashlight, walking stick. And when I say walking stick, I'd say a Titan, because a staff is generally about the same height as you are, ish. It kind of depends on which school of thought you're working on. It would help you with walking, and also it's a stick. You can hit something with it, so just be aware. And just kind of situational awareness, I think, is the big one there. Be aware of your surroundings. Groups are good. If you're going to walk alone in the dark, be aware of where you're walking alone at the dark, because some places, like in Australia, there's all sorts of things that want to eat you and kill you in Australia. North Idaho, we've got bears and lions and Bigfoot, that kind of thing. So just be aware. So yeah, just be aware and be proactive. Tetsubo, not like a cricket bat. Anyways, now it's a metal stick. War club, two-handed war club. Alright, there you go. That'll work. Yeah. Be aware of your surroundings, yes. And, depending on where you're at, make sure that you know what kind of critters can be around you. Because, like here, we don't have rattlesnakes. But you go a little bit further south and get a little bit lower in elevation, and yes, there's a potential for rattlesnakes. And rattlesnakes like warm places, so or some, just be aware of what you could encounter, and dress appropriately for the weather conditions and what you may encounter. Have plenty of water, and salt actually is just a good thing to have on you at all times, anyways. Because you never know when you may need to cast a circle real quick. So, yeah, lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. So, anyways, tonight, for the serious stuff, I wanted to talk about spiritual awakening. As we've talked about how it really feels like it's the end of an age. More people seem to be aware of things that are going on around them. And what does that mean? A friend of mine has just recently kind of gone through that whole spiritual awakening bit, and it was a little startling. And if you don't know it's happening, it feels like you're losing your mind a little bit. That's normal. And then once you get through it, you look back and you're like, derp, I should have known. Because, yeah, it's some of those things that are more glaringly obvious in retrospect are not when you're going through them. So the biggest one, make sure you're doing your research. This is one of those things that's really good to have a journal, because as you're experiencing things in our world today, whether it's with the virus or like Don and Brent going squatching, dream work, rituals, divination, any of that, journal what's going on, what you're experiencing, what you're sensing, because it's going to change over time. Our awareness just changes. It happens. So, a spiritual awakening can generally be defined as an awareness of a spiritual reality. Now, no one person can really define 100% a spiritual awakening for another person. Now, each person does have a slightly different outlook on life. That's real. And so, as a result, they define things differently. And a spiritual awakening can happen at any moment in your life. Anytime. It could happen when you're young, like Jess, or it could happen when you're older. It can happen at any time. And you can be at any phase in your life. Whether you're just learning how to walk or you've been retired for 20 years. The right set of circumstances kind of have to happen, and you yourself have to be ready for it at least a little bit. Now, the Urban Dictionary, I should say, defines spiritual awakening as a reference to a shift in consciousness, or a perception of reality that has been previously unrealized. So, maybe you saw a ghost for the first time. Maybe you experienced Bigfoot for the first time, or Dogman, or something like that. Maybe it's just something you haven't really encountered before is what cued this awakening. And it's the culmination of these realizations that may have happened, that helps recognize that oneness with all of existence, so that awakening. And yes, cleansing is often really important. Asi is absolutely right. So when I was doing research for tonight, and by the way, show notes will be on the Patreon, so if you want a copy of those, I came across a quote that I thought was really appropriate and timely, I think, more than anything, because it's true, it's accurate. So whenever you hear or read anything of a spiritual nature that moves you or touches your soul, you are not learning something. You are simply remembering that which you have already always known. It's a gentle awakening. And the author was unknown. I spent an hour trying to figure out who said that, and it's just in Pinterest. So it's just a thing. But I think it's accurate. In many ways, our spirit, as it awakens, it's not necessarily awakening. It's a remembering of something that's been before, especially those of us that believe in past lives. We've had more than one life, so maybe we've had that spiritual awakening in a previous life. So we're just remembering what's happening. And if you do a Google search for spiritual awakening, honestly, you really can find everything from memes on Pinterest to books to magazine articles, either online or subscribe here or what have you. And all of those different media have different lists of signs and what they mean and what they don't mean, and it's complicated, it's not straightforward. And what's it mean to have a spiritual awakening? Is it spiritual enlightenment? Can't talk. Or is it psychic awakening, which is something else entirely? So, it's, I suppose one of the most frustrating things that I encountered as I was doing the research is everybody assumed that it's the same for everybody. You have this carbon copy. Everybody's going to be spiritually awakened, not awoken. Woke is something else entirely. Spiritually awakened the same way. Carbon copy. Kind of like Christianity. Oh, Hail Mary. Or, they're baptized again, or whatever it is. So, Suzanne, I'm going to go into it. And so, yes. I do know someone who's currently going through a spiritual awakening, and I myself have done it. And it was when I dedicated myself to Hecate, it was because I had gone through a spiritual awakening, and I had there'd been a couple different signs, and just things I had encountered, things I'd gone through. And then when I sat down and looked back at my life through this lens of what's this thing, and it was, I took away the Christianity lens a little bit, and oh my gosh, what am I supposed to be doing lens, and really just looked at everything from an open-minded point of view. It was like, oh, that's what that meant. That's what that meant. And there's a whole bunch of aha moments. And it was after going through all that and then meditating a bit and thinking on it and journaling. That's it was probably another 3 to 6 months before I dedicated myself to Hecate. Because I didn't want to just jump into it, knee-jerk. Oh, that's what this meant. So, hey, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon. Because that's not what a spiritual awakening is. Just like a spiritual awakening is not all love and light. It's often gritty and dirty and experiential. It's not rainbows and unicorns. because you're working on yourself during this awakening. And when we work on ourselves, we look in that mirror at ourselves and we're like, oh, wow, why do I do this? And that's not serving me at all. Why? I need to just let that go and move on and do something else. It's not so much a forgive and forget. It's like, this is baggage that I've been carrying around for how long? It's like, I've had this bag of cement covered single socks that match nothing else in my life. And it's suddenly you can just let go. And you realize that I don't need to carry this around anymore. Wow, and you feel lighter, and it's cleansing, and it's confusing, and but it's at the same time clarifying, and it was just rewarding. And then it was probably another year before I had another aha moment, and I'd talk about it later, because I have it in my show notes even. My aha moment that I had been called by Kanunos. It was just one of those, that's what that meant. That's why that came into my life. That's what happened. And honestly, my tree Groot, that's one of those signs. It's like, it was really the big neon light, because sometimes in order to have a spiritual awakening, we have to be hit with the blunt object, the neon sign, the face palm of reality, or fate, or whatever. Whether it's our spirit guides, the deities that we work with, our ancestors, or people we know that we may look up to, our peers, or spiritual leaders in our community. And it's just like that. That's what that meant. And once you find that thing, whatever it is, that clues you in, suddenly it's like the blinders come off. Yes, you've walked into the room, out of the sunshine. Oh yeah, I forgot to take my sunglasses off. Take the sunglasses off and, wow, I can see again. That's awesome. Or driving down the road at night, and you were in town, you thought your headlights were on, and they weren't. And then you turn them on, you're like, oh my gosh, I can see things. So it's that clarity. And yeah, it's gritty. And, sometimes we go through those awakenings when we're in our hardest points. Elaine mentions that she's pretty sure she went through one when her mom passed. And you know what? It's very possible, because when a loved one passes, it strips away some of the ego blocks that we have, and you start looking at things differently. Because you start looking at things differently. Yeah, exact. You better put your sunnies back on, Aussie, because isn't the sun coming up in your world right now? So yeah, so that is very, very basic. A spiritual awakening happens when you finally convince your ego to just move out of the way, so that you can experience a reality outside of that inner self that you've always protected you with. A spiritual awakening generally involves the self and opening your heart and your very center of self to the world. And it's often associated with your soul, your emotions, your thought processes, your reality, everything. And again, it's gritty, and it can be really painful right until it's not. Kind of like pulling out a splinter. It really hurts when that splinter's infected in your hand, and you're like, oh my gosh, that really hurts. Oh my gosh, stop. It's horrible. And then finally the splinter comes out, and you're like, wow, that's awesome. I feel so much better now. It's like the same kind of thing. So, as a spiritual awakening is different to a psychic awakening, because a psychic awakening shows you the world beyond the reality that we generally experience, and begin to encounter the reality beyond our common senses, like touch, hearing, vision. It's that kind of thing. So a spiritual awakening is often called or considered a rebirth. And there are quite a few signs, yes. So Titan just asked a question. Paisley, would you agree that's why certain people use drugs as a substitute, subconsciously trying to find a higher frequency where awakening lives? Yes. Because often our ego defenses are so strong that without some sort of chemical or outside influence, whether it's alcohol or some other recreational material, we can't break down those barriers. Now, on the flip side, Jessica's also right. It may be that, reality is trying to, tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, time to wake up. Your spirit needs to wake up because it's time for you to do this. This is your achievement time. Time to level up. And our ego defenses are such that it's because they can't yet. They're not ready yet. The ego isn't ready to let go. Titan's right. When it's that self-medication, so you don't have to face that awakening. Now, not all of those substances out there are created equal. Some are geared towards a spiritual awakening. Some tend to muffle it and camouflage it and reduce it. So if you're trying to do some sort of substance to help you become more awakened, do your research. Make sure you're using the right thing for the right thing. Otherwise, you're trying to take Jello out of a mold with a hammer, or hang a picture with a sponge. Be aware. Make sure you're using the right tool to do what you need to do, because they're not all created equal, and some have side effects that just block you. And in addition to having those ego defenses, suddenly you have chemical obstacles also, or you're suddenly relying upon those things. Now, if you are someone who fights depression all the time, you may have to be on an antidepressant in order to become experience a spiritual awakening. Blech. Totally sober tonight, guys. I still can't talk. So, you need to understand that not all chemicals are the same, and not all needs are the same. Some people do have to be on certain medications in order to achieve that spiritual awakening, which can then help them wean off or not have to use those chemicals. In reality, if you've been depressed your whole life, or for like the last 3 years or whatever, because of something that's happened in the past, you've finally worked through it, and that spiritual awakening is happening, and suddenly you're not depressed anymore. You don't need those medications. You don't need that therapy. You don't need that intervention. So there's both sides of that particular coin. And sometimes, just like you're right, Jess, it's just Powerade. It's the blue stuff. There's nothing in it tonight. I'm just thirsty because I spent all day outside. You can't see it because I've got long sleeves and I put on too much makeup. So I'm a little warm and it feels good. The sun came out. It was awesome. So yes, be aware of your chemical choices, as Kathleen says, because some of them are going to enhance your depression and some are going to counter effect them. No, Aussie, actually, I don't get hangovers. I even my wildest night with tequila and the Three Wise Men and stuff, I don't get hungover. So it's just mostly I slept in and took a nap and then spent too much time out in the sun, and that's kind of what my dealio is. So Suzanne asked for a clarification about frequency, because some people do seem to operate at a lower frequency than others. And I'm going to look this up. Just, yeah, One Wild Night. You're funny, Jess. Um, let's see. It's in partly different people, function at different frequencies. Yellows. Hi. No, I don't. People. I can't spell. Do people operate at different frequencies? Wow, that's crazy. Here I am typing out, do people operate at different frequencies, and it autocorrected to live in Antarctica. I don't understand that. Jeez, there we go. Yes, happy Mother's Day to all on for May 10. So, break time.
I, O Lord, within the sun,
See you guys in a
as
moment.
we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done. of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are adventuring into the spaces between, and my chat room is blowing up. Cat wants to get a cleansing, and Titan wants to know if I can do a remote one. Live wild party. Oh, Lewis, I don't have a singing bowl yet. It's on my wish list. Tomorrow's Mother's Day. Maybe I'll get one. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge to the world out there. I would love one. But I don't know, we'll see. Golly, I don't know. Maybe. Let me ponder that one. I'll mesh this cat directly, and then we'll see. I'm not gonna say no. I'll say maybe, because cleansings are often really personal. So I don't know. We'll think about it. I'll just leave it at that. So, we are talking about spiritual awakenings. As I trip over my words. Oh, goodness. So, as we awaken, we often... so yes, guided meditations. Lewis, I've been pondering that because I think that might not be a bad thing. So Lewis just asked if I could do a guided meditation, and you know what? I could probably do that. Because yeah, it's not all bad. So yep. Especially as we're all locked down anyways, right? I can just go out into my yard. Neener, neener. I know not everybody does, but yeah. Looks like Todd has joined us in the chat room also, so hello, hello. And so yeah. So as we awaken, we often experience a sense of intensified perceptions. So those things that in our lives that have lost their luster, we may begin seeing them as more vivid. You know, I haven't heard from Naysay lately. I'll have to reach out to him because that's been kind of weird that I haven't seen him. So happy thoughts towards Naysay, guys. And hey, farm. So yes. Now, when I say the more vivid, you know, the colors are going to be brighter, sounds are going to be clearer, meanings behind things are going to be more obvious, and reality is just more. It's kind of like the difference between 720 and 1050 on your TVs, guys. So just, oh hey, there's Naysay. It's just more. So connections between things are more noticeable. You know, whether it's between the different trees or plants or people or just the world around you, those connections are going to become more obvious, more noticeable, more real, if you will. Nature itself will be more captivating, whether it's strangeness or intricacy or simplicity or grittiness. Those connections and those bits and things and everything will just be more, and you'll suddenly be able to see it. I mean, for those of you who wear glasses, take your glasses off, look out the window. What do you see? If it's daylight out, you don't see much because everything's fuzzy. Put on your glasses and suddenly it's like, wow, there's a whole world out there. Oh my gosh. And similar to that, you'll be able to see it. So with an awakening, you'll just really begin to experience an intensity of perception to the world around you. You'll be both more sensitive and more open to that experience also. Sometimes to the point of being overwhelmed. And that's okay. It's kind of like stretching a muscle. Sometimes you're going to be overwhelmed. That's funny, pharmacy. Take off your glasses and see. Yeah. Um, I can't. I'm blind. I have trifocals because I'm old, right? Yeah, a whole new world, Aladdin. It's really a whole bunch more out there that you couldn't see it before. And when you're overwhelmed, because you will be, especially when those first connections start happening, and you're like, oh, and this is connected, and that's connected, and then oh my gosh, that's connected, and you're like the hyperactive dog that has just spazzed out, or the cat on catnip, or whatever, whatever's going on. Just suddenly you're overwhelmed, and that can lead to anger, frustration, sadness, grief, depression, any of those things. And it's okay, it's normal. And if you're feeling that sense of being overwhelmed, ground yourself and go through your grounding. Whether it's a guided meditation or a guided grounding, it doesn't really matter. Just remember to ground yourself, ground out that overwhelming sense of energy, because the earth will support you. The universe will support you. As you're opening yourself up to all these things that you might be suddenly experiencing, ground out. I mean, seriously, just ground yourself. You're grounded, and it'll help. It'll help take some of that OMG-ness away, and you'll be okay. Often, excuse me, becoming more spiritually awakened means that we're also experiencing an increased sense of a timelessness or presentness. Our perception of time can actually change because the past and the future suddenly have less weight, and now becomes the important time. And as we begin to live in the now, time really does. It opens up, it slows down. Think of the lazy afternoons of summer when we were kids. Things just slow down. And for some, time seems to completely disappear. I mean, think about, the monks, and in some of the Eastern cultures, and how they seem just to be at peace with themselves. They're a oneness. They just seem to be experiencing this eternal now, and this moment in life. And it's okay, because the merging of the past, whatever it is, and the future, whatever it could be, and the now that we're experiencing, it becomes this eternal moment that we're in. And that lack of time stress, really, it's a time stress, which is a man-made concept anyways, not a universal concept. It's man-made. The hurry of life just has less importance. We're less worried about the future, so we stop rushing to it. We're more able to connect with the world that we live in, because we've really stopped experiencing time in a linear fashion. It's not 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute, 5 minute, hurry up, gotta go, gotta get the kids, we gotta go to the doctor, we gotta go to school, we gotta do this, gotta get to work, gotta go to sleep, gotta eat, gotta this, gotta this. Time, things happen when they're supposed to happen, and we release that stress, that worry, that angst. And suddenly, instead of worrying about this minute, the last minute, and the future minute, we experience time. It's just a thing to experience. Just like sunlight is a thing to experience. It just is. And that lessening of stress, that's just good for us. Period. Just good for us. Now, the path of becoming spiritually awakened is often triggered by an awareness of a presence or a higher spiritual energy. Now, as a pagan, and this often means a specific deity or spiritual energy or your spirit guides or your ancestors. Some may even perceive this as a source energy. And so you'll feel both the spiritual energy within you and around you and in the spaces between all things. And this energy doesn't just exist within all things, but all things are also a manifestation of it. So yeah, this really was one of those aha things for me. When, looking at my past, it's like, oh, that was the Hecate moment. And the distant past. And then the recent past, that was the Kiddos moment, the aha. And if they hadn't both been guiding me and giving me the occasional nudge, I would have been a totally different person. Totally different person. I wouldn't feel that sense of peace I have within me. Because once I, acknowledging Hecate and dedicating myself to her, it was just a sense of release and like, oh, that's great. And then when I realized that Kiddos had been calling me, and I acknowledged him as well, and kind of did a dedication there too. My stress is gone. Yeah. But some things still just drive me slightly insane because I am human, and being spiritually awakened is a work in progress. You're never done. You get better at it. It gets a little bit easier with time, but it's just, you just are. And it's not as stressful. It becomes easier the more you do it. And when you're stressing about tomorrow, worried about what's going to happen tomorrow, and worry, you're not fixing anything for tomorrow. You're borrowing time from tomorrow, and you're eliminating the potential for you to enjoy tomorrow if you're worrying about it today. And so it's you can't force it. I consider myself a realist. I'm not really a glass half empty or glass half full. It's just there's always room for more coffee. There is. So or tequila or vodka or water, whatever you want to put in the cup, there's always more room. So it's not half empty, half full, or whatever. But I'm also a little bit of a fatalist, because what will be when it's supposed to be. And I think for my interpretation, is that kind of like cogs in a wheel. There's all these different points where something could fit into as far as getting something accomplished. But until they're lined up exactly, they don't quite line up. The connections don't quite line up. So once they are lined up and everything is right where it needs to be, that's when the cogs mesh together. And it's hard sometimes, because sometimes it feels like you just gotta push, you just gotta get it done, and oh my gosh, and so yes, Kat, you and I have chatted. Yes, you have been awakened by Sharon, depending on how you want to pronounce it. So Suzanne, if you feel like you're always on the edge, meditate more, ground a little bit, have a touchstone. I have rocks right here readily at hand. I've got a couple fidgets, and it just, even my ring is a fidget, to be honest. Whatever it is that you need to do to help you ground and release some of that tension and anxiety, that's probably what you need, my dear. Because until you have that, it's going to be hard for you to release some of that frustration. Aussie just said that they're probably Brent and Don are waiting for me to get done so they can go live again. I don't know. Last I saw, Brent was running out of battery. So, yeah. I don't know. But yeah, it's being on edge all the time is habit forming in a way because that's your reality. That's what your normal is. And to not be on the edge all the time, especially when it first starts to happen, woof. It's hard because it feels like you're dropping the ball somewhere, you're missing something, and it's driving you nuts because need to do something because I'm just not there. I'm missing something. And as you keep doing it though, that new habit is forming that no, you don't need all that extra stuff to keep you on the edge. So, just be aware, sometimes being on the edge, it's addicting and habit forming. It's its own gateway drug to chocolate. No, I'm kidding. Chocolate is just chocolate. It's not a drug. It's a necessity. So yeah, just be aware. And yeah, sometimes, whatever it is that has hit the switch to become spiritually awakened, journal it, write it down. What caused you to take those steps, and yes, I do have an acorn tat. And because there's value in that journey, and even in like a year from now, you go back and maybe you read that journal. You're like, hey, what was I experiencing? What did this mean? And what was going on? And then you read through it, and you're like, oh, that's what that meant. I get it now. That aha moment. But because you're so on the edge and you're going through these things, you may not really see the whole picture. And suddenly, in a couple months, you go back through and you're like, wow, why couldn't I have seen that then? Because I wouldn't have had to do all this stuff for the last 6 months. I'd already be there. So yeah, just be aware. Being on the edge is a habit forming. So an increase of intuition, and I'm using intuition kind of as a broad label here. So an increase of intuition often accompanies a spiritual awakening. Now, this doesn't mean that myself or you will automatically, see things. Now, occasionally I do know some things, but it's a more intangible thing for me that may not be the same for others because we all are on a slightly different path. So for others, it might be, an increased ability to read auras or to use different tools of divination, dream work, or energy work. But this increase of intuition is going to vary with each person, and with different intensity for each person, because it's very much similar to a muscle or a new skill. You have to practice, you have to use it in order to develop it. You don't just open your eyes one day and be able to move things with your mind. It's not the way it works. So latent skills, those you may have been born with, may become more easily attained because you may have been subconsciously blocking them. Because in our society today, a lot of those latent things are not as readily acceptable in our polite society. So they may be more easily attained, but not always. So study, meditation, there's all sorts of books out there, there's all sorts of things you can read and study up on. There's people who can teach you. Just do your research, make sure you're getting a good teacher, not someone who's going to use you, because there are those out there. Meditation is really good though. When you have a concept or something you want to learn, you want to meditate on it, think on it, journal about it, go back through and rinse and repeat until you're all done. And you're going to have to keep at it. Deb Varner, for instance, Deb is awesome. Really good at figuring out, what your spirit guides are trying to tell you. Um, but it's not her first time. She's done this for a while. She's done this for a lot. And it's a skill that she's developed and something she's come to understand more with time and with practice. And just like if someone wants to do Reiki on you, Reiki is good. Make sure you're using someone that has gone to the classes and done the work, has the certifications, and it's not something that you don't go watch a YouTube video and say, "Hey, I'm a level 2 Reiki healer." No, there's more to it than that. So don't be a Karen and learn by YouTube. So yeah, but you have to use these skills in order to have them grow. Just like continuing education is important for people with medical degrees or legal degrees or teaching degrees, etc., etc., etc. And if you've got it, the skill that you're trying to use, you have to use it or you'll lose it. So Kathleen asks, Paisley, your thoughts on discernment. She's been told by others that she has it, but has not allowed it to be. So Reiki is energy work. Susan, I'll come back to that in a moment. So Kathleen, yes, discernment is a thing. Think of it as a lie detector. You can see what is real, what is not, the truth of it, which is often hard to see the inner truth of something. And just like any other skill, you need to work at it a little bit and journal about it. I'm serious about the journaling bit. Think about everything that you've thought about in the past when it comes to your discernment. What is it to you? Define it to yourself and how you've used it in the past. And then it is definitely a skill. So Suzanne asked a question, what is Reiki? Because I mentioned it. So Reiki is a spiritual healing art that channels positive energy into your body. And Reiki masters and practitioners typically place their hands upon the affected areas of the body that need a boost, offering this energy, and then your body takes the energy in where it is most needed. So it's energy work. It's a Japanese, I believe, in origin. Stress reduction, relaxation, promotes healing, that kind of thing. Kind of think of laying on of hands, or if you ever watched Karate Kid. Hey, Don. When Mr. Miyagi and Karate Kid are at the tournament, and Karate Kid gets hurt, and Mr. Miyagi claps his hands and rubs them together, he's building up the energy, and then he lays his hands upon Karate Kid, and it heals him enough to move forward with the contest. So, and it's a real thing. It is a very, 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 very real thing. So I see Mr. Don is in the chat. I wonder, how is the squatching going? If yes, using his chi. So chi energy is something that's used in Reiki healing. Whether it's your chi, somebody else's chi, but it's energy work. Kind of goes back to that whole frequency thing, I guess. But it's, wax on, wax off. There you go. The Inner Temple of Witchcraft is a really good book, Suzanne. And if you read through it, it talks about how to do some of the energy work and how to sense your aura. So you're working within your aura. And it's really fascinating. It's interesting. Holy cow. And energy work, when you first are trying to figure out where your own aura is, feeling it, it's once you do it once, you're like, OMG, that's so weird. It gets you the EBGBs. Hey, Amethyst. And so once you get that figured out and you're sorted and you're like, that's what that is. And every so often, I play with my aura, because Yeah, it feels cool. And but once you can feel your own, it's easier to feel the aura or the energy fields around others, um, plants, animals, people. You can really feel more of the energy of the space, the place you're at. The Inner Temple of Witchcraft, Suzanne, by Christopher Penjack, and that's Penzak. Let's see. Inner Temple of Penjack. Hold on. It's on Amazon. Let's see. So, it's a magic, meditation, and psychic development. And it's just a really good book. Yes. You should be able, yes, I'm looking at Great Guide
I,
Pull Bear Pack. Shoot.
O
I'll get it
Lord,
right one of these
within the
times.
sun, as we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. And yeah, so we're just talking about spiritually awakening. What it means to be spiritually awakened. You're more aware, in a nutshell. So a lot of folks that have gone through a spiritual awakening learn that death isn't quite the same stress, because a fear of death is really common. It's a common fear amongst pretty much most people, period. Yeah. Because it's death. And as we experience the spiritual awakening, we often lose that fear. Because with that increase of living in the now, the fear of the future or regretting the past starts to have less power over us, and we begin to realize that death is inevitable. It will happen, and it comes to all people at some point. And becoming spiritually awake means that we're more able to manage that fear of death. And it's because our ego is just really afraid to die, and acknowledging that it will eventually die, and that all that we've done or the things that we've accumulated or etc. will eventually have very little or no value. It really gives us a sense of meaninglessness, especially if we feel that life just ends at death. That's it. There's a fear of that absence, and so once we let go of our ego, and it gives us this understanding that death really isn't the end. It's just a gateway. It's a doorway from this life to the next. And our essence of self, who we are at our core, transcends from this life and will continue on after we die. Whether to the next life, or to the Summerlands, or whatever afterlife that we believe in, or the tradition we follow. Yeah, it's a real thing, and that fear. Think about how many products out there are marketed to the American people. Just narrowing it down, the American people. How many products are marketed out there to fight aging, the appearance of aging? And I mean, what amount of money is spent in the U.S. on plastic surgery to get rid of the wrinkles, hair colors to get rid of the gray, this lotion or potion to tighten the skin, to get rid of the fine lines, the crow's feet, etc., etc. How much money is spent in the U.S. to fight aging? Because we're afraid of death. That is millions, if not billions of dollars. And for what? For nothing. Because, yeah, we can't take it with us. We will eventually shed this skin and move on to the next life, our next thing. This is just a temporary place and time in our timeline. It is just one of our lives that we will experience. For some, it may be the final, and we may go on to the afterlife after this, the Summerlands, or hell, Hel, or Valhalla, depending on how you die, or etc., etc. It's a transitory thing, and that fear of death prevents us from doing so much. It really does, because it cripples us. We stop taking the big risks. We stop taking a chance and experiencing the new things. Trying the new foods, going on the new adventures. And once we stop doing those new things, we stop growing ourselves. I mean, think about it. How many kids, 20-somethings, do new things all the time? And how many 60-somethings do new things all the time? Numbers are different. Kids in their 20s, they're going to try new things, eat the new foods, go to the new places, do whatever it is. They're still learning, they're still experiencing, trying to figure out who they are. Those that are in their 60s generally like, hey, no, this is who I am. I'm not going to change this. I'm good. I don't need to grow. I don't need to do anything different. I want my coffee at 8 a.m. I want my lunch at 12. Dinner needs to be on the table by 5. I'm going to be in bed by 7:30 as soon as Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune are done. It happens. It's okay. But it doesn't have to be that way. And new things don't have to be like, I'm going to go adventuring into the Grand Canyon, or I'm going to jump out of an airplane. New things can be little. Learn a new card game. Go to a different coffee shop. Do something different. Make a left turn instead of a right turn. So yes, absolutely. Naysay says if only our generalized positivity could neutralize the ego. Yeah. Yeah. Ego away, ego away, ego away. So Aussie, I don't know what to tell you. Your phone's at 22%. Depending on how fast your battery goes dead, you may make it to the end of the show. Maybe. But it'll die right after. So, maybe. People often realize that prior to their spiritual awakening, they weren't really living. Instead, they were just existing or living to please other people. This means that they felt that they had to live according to society norms. Often that means limiting their own impulses and desires. They have subscribed to cultural trends and norms and expectations, commercialism, that kind of thing. Once we become spiritually awake, often those that we spend the most time with see us as eccentric or unconventional. But we begin to have greater confidence in our choices. We often reject consumerism, reject cultural trends, and we don't have that need to keep up with the Joneses, for instance. We begin to live our own lives according to our own sense of what is right, rather than just trying to please others by doing whatever society feels we must do to be normal. Naysay, sure, you can take it with you. I mean, who wants to be normal? Be super normal. Be abnormal. Be extra normal. Whatever it is that you feel that you need to do, be you. If you want to color your hair purple, color your hair purple. You want to wear mom jeans? Wear mom jeans. You want to wear the leggings? Wear the leggings. Just cover your butt, please. No one wants that hanging out. If you're a dude and you want to wear a dress, knock yourself out, man. Whatever it is that you want to do, shave your head, go for it. Whatever it is that you feel you need to do to be you, that's what you need to do. Be the best you can be. Be authentic to yourself. Because if you're not authentic to yourself, if you're not true to you, how can you be true to anybody else? How can you, just stop and think about that, How can you be true to you and be the most authentic you if you can't accept you as you are? So, love who you need to love, be who you need to be, do the job you need to do. That means if I grow a long beard, absolutely, that's your gig, man. But it's frustrating because I see so many people that are dealing with depression and frustration and family angst because family won't accept them as they are. Well, unfortunately, it means you may need to walk away from family for a bit. Learn how to be you. Be okay with you. Don't bounce from one relationship to the next without ever stopping to learn who you are without someone else. Learn how to be you. Um, that's a real thing, and it's okay to just be yourself. Um, Spiritually awake people tend to both appreciate the world around them and have a significant curiosity about the world that they are living in. And we stop taking the world for granted that's around us because taking it for granted really leaves us dissatisfied with what's going on. We feel like we need more, and we don't know what it is. And yeah, we just straight up stop appreciating what's around us. So awakened people feel both grateful for the material world around us and for the relationships with the people that are around us. We generally do feel grateful after a spiritual awakening. 100%. Because once we've been spiritually awakened, we don't just get used to the good things in our lives once we've had them. We begin to appreciate the value of our health, of our freedom, the beauty of the world around us, the relationships we have with the people around us, the innocence of our children. If you want to experience the world anew, experience with the child. Don't make any of the decisions. Let the child make the decisions. Just keep them safe. Go to the ice cream shop. Get the gummy bears on your ice cream. Whatever it is. Try something new. And you have the ability, you're counting your blessings. You have just this gratitude for life and for the people around you. And that gratitude is a really big sign of becoming spiritually awakened. Because you stop taking life for granted. You suddenly see those things that have always been there as something new and unfamiliar. They smell fresher, they smell better, like I mentioned at the very beginning. And it's not so much that you feel satisfied with your world or that you feel that you're complete. It's just that you're eager for it, and to explore the new ideas, to take on new challenges, to gain new skills, to travel. So embrace that inner child as you're experiencing these new things, because you're going to experience and gain new knowledge, gain a different frequency. Because the world's just a fascinating place once you become spiritually awakened. And I'm not even talking about the pagan part. It's just, think about it. Once you become awakened to the reality of paganism, or spiritually awakened and you embrace paganism, some people embrace Christianity, and that happens, or other different paths. It happens. But once you do, Christian, I am a witch. Whatever it is, and you become awakened to it, you start to see those connections, and you're aware of it, and it just makes sense, and it's not a surprise. It's not unsatisfying anymore. It's just life, and it's good. Whatever it is, it's good. And so yeah, I'm a pagan. I'm a witch. I'm good with it. I'm more comfortable with myself. I am more accepting of myself today than I ever was before. I tried to walk the Christian path. I really did. I tried for so many years. And in parts because I was trying to make, trying to please other people and find acceptance by other people by being who they wanted me to be, but it never felt right. It never felt like what I was supposed to be. It always felt wrong. And that doesn't mean that Christianity is wrong for other people, because that's not true. But it's more, this is the path that I need to be on. For me to be spiritually awakened, this is the path that I am walking. This is the path that I am traveling. And yeah, it's, I don't know, I feel more me than I've ever felt in my entire life. I don't know how else to explain it. I'm also more okay with me than I've ever felt ever in my life. And that, whatever it is, the gray hairs, the wrinkles, the fluffiness, the scars, the bumps, all of it. I'm okay with that. I'm so much more accepting of self. And any depression that I had when I was younger, yeah, nope, I don't have an issue there either. I'm so, I wish everybody could feel this way, that accepting of self. Because it's, I don't know, it's real. And if you need help getting there, let me know. Email me, it's wildepaisley@gmail.com. I'll do what I can to help. And yeah. And Christian, nope, not lighter than a duck. I am just me. I am who I am. Not sure what you mean by that. Ruthie goes, stop shaving your parts, legs, armpits, etc., etc. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, just be you. Now, there are, in doing the research for this, I thought it was kind of funny, because there is some spiritual traps, some things that are not a sign of a spiritual awakening. And the thought, that whole thought that you're the good guy and everybody else is evil, because that's not really the way it works. It's not a good and evil thing, because that's kind of a Western religion thing. Really, really not at all. If you start identifying yourself as a spiritual person, you're probably not quite as spiritually awakened as you think you are, because you're neither spiritual or material once you become spiritually awakened. You transcend, and you're including them both. Because once you start identifying yourself as just, I'm just spiritual, like a lot of Christians have noticed who are no longer following or going to a church or a specific path in Christianity, like a Baptist or Lutheran or Catholic, etc. So, oh no, I'm not Baptist. I'm a spiritual. Well, in a way, it's a sign of a spiritual ego, if you will, or inflation. And so you're not really allowing yourself to become spiritually awakened. You're just, I don't know, you're getting that ego in the way. Yeah, pharmacy, absolutely. Pharmacy says evil or good implies judgment. Yeah, I'm not here to judge people. That's not my gig. That's not my jam. That's not who I am. And I don't feel that most of us need to be around to judge other people. If you are just looking for love and light, this is one of the things that I kind of bump into with people who are Wiccan specifically. And it's not because I think Wiccans are horrible, because I don't. I don't feel that being a pagan or a witch is a love and light thing, even though that's the trend right now in our society, as in the paganistic world, is to look, for, ooh, love and light. Everything's love and light. Hey, MCAT. And yeah, it's just not real. It may help with your self-esteem a little bit, but it doesn't really promote your self-growth because, like I mentioned at the very beginning, spiritual awakening is dark and it's gritty and it's dirty, and it's as you're coming to terms with the experiences that you've had in the past and letting go of the fear and anger and guilt and grief, etc., 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 it's not going to be love and light. It's going to be dark sometimes, and it's going to be hard. So, acting nice. So, if you're acting nice and innocent all the time, it's not really a spiritual awakening. That's just, psychological immaturity. Yeah, be nice and behave yourself. Okay, you just aren't growing up yet. So, if you're just going around acting nice all the time and just love and light and all that stuff and happy, joy, etc., etc., you're still being manipulated by somebody else. You haven't really embraced that spiritual awakening yet. Yeah, acting nice is 100% a mask. I can act nice. Yes, I can. But that doesn't mean that I'm doing what I need to be. Be your authentic self. If you don't like someone, that's okay. You don't have to. Don't be a jerk. That's not necessary. But just be you. And yeah, pharmacy's right. If you're busy judging others, you're not growing yourself. You're not growing your heart, your love, or anything else, or overcoming sadness and grief. You're just too busy judging others. Judging others will block you, and that's an ego thing because you're feeling like you're better than everybody else. I mean, if you walk around saying, "Oh, I'm better than you," and your clothes are horrible because I'm better than you, etc., etc., if you are, reading a lot of spiritual texts, or you've got the happy quote of the day all the place, or you go to a lot of like prayer groups or Bible studies, etc., etc., you're just special. Everybody's special. That's an ego thing. So just be aware. Be aware of it. And those are all becoming ego defenses. If you're leaning on someone else and it's not allowing you to grow yourself, yeah, that could be a bad thing. So just be aware. That's all. I mean, it's not rocket surgery. It really isn't. So, so I gotta tell you, Aussie, I'm sorry you're surrounded by so much negativity. I would say throw salt at them, they might go away. No, I'm kidding. Often when people are being negative, I've noticed that it's a defense mechanism, that they're so unhappy about something in their own life, whether it's themselves or something they're experiencing or something like that, that they're negative to everybody around them. And it's hard to deal with someone like that because it's like, why are you so miserably unhappy? What is it that we can do to help you not be so miserably unhappy? Some people, unfortunately, never learn how to let go of that negativity. They are so absolute when it comes to hanging on to that anger. They can't let go of that ego defense. And it's frustrating. So work Aussie, work with naysay. What is it that you might need to help to get rid of that? Yeah. Start throwing salt might start a fight, I don't know. Throw rocks. I heard some funny thing. It was a meme or a cartoon. It said an apple a day keeps the doctor away, and someone says, "Well, wouldn't you be better off, eating the apple instead of throwing it at the doctor?" So yeah, you should be aware of the tools that you have available. And yeah, sometimes you can't help somebody find that road to happiness if they don't want to go there. Um, because some people can't, and they don't know how. They don't know how to let go of that anger. Um, and yeah, looking at it with a different perspective is often hard. You know. So people who are being negative, yeah, just keep showing the love as best you can. And when you get the urge to react to their negativity, ground it out. Send that negativity down into the world around you. The earth is awesomely accepting when it comes to helping us with our energy and letting it go and phasing it out and trying to find something else to help us. So, all right, guess what? It's going to be break time here shortly, and I'm not scared this time. 1 out of 3 is not bad, right? So we'll be right back after break
Lord,
and finish
within
up.
the sun, as we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done. Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. We're talking about spiritual awakening this evening, because you know what? It's hard. It's dirty. It's gritty. It's frustrating. All those things, and also rewarding. Just like a lot of hard work is ultimately very, very rewarding, but hard. So here we've been talking about, things that indicate that you may be spiritually awakened. Some things that are not a sign of being spiritually awakened. So how do you get there? How do you help yourself? Because you may know what it means to be spiritually awakened. You may not be quite there yet. So what do? How do you help yourself? Pick up a book. Yep, sure, absolutely. It's hard. Awesome. Absolutely. Meditate. Even if it's just a few minutes a day. If you can meditate just before bed, often that eases your sleep, going into sleep. Maybe when you first wake up, although it may put you back to sleep. Your lunch break if you're at work. If you're quarantining, pick a time. It happens. And meditation, whether it's guided meditation or not, that's up to you. And meditation, remember, is not just, sitting in the lotus position with your hands on your knees saying Om. It's not. There are multiple ways to meditate, and often if you like jogging, jog, headphones on, listen to some good music, whatever that is. Maybe driving, just don't lose your sense of where you're at. If you carpool or commute in some fashion other than driving yourself, you can get into the meditation a little bit more. There's different places and ways you can meditate. Just you need to figure out what that is for you. And it's a trial and error thing. Remember, this is a learning process. You're not going to be an expert tomorrow. Spend some time outside. Now, granted, I know right now at this particular time it's a little harder to go to the park and stuff, or go for a walk, because our world right now is just very bizarre. But yeah, if you can get outside, hug a tree, garden. If you have, live in an apartment, and yes, naysay, I did say dirty can be rewarding. Cleaning can be meditating, absolutely, Ruthie. If you live in an apartment and you have a little bitty balcony, get some little containers and, grow some herbs. Sage, grow some sage. Whatever it is, whatever it is, that you may be able to grow. Maybe you just can grow a ficus or a philodendron or something like that. Whatever it is, encountering dirt in some way is really, really good for you. 100%. Laugh. Holy cow. Laughter is so cleansing. It reawakens you. Not everybody has a slightly different sense of humor. If you had listened last night, you found out that Lucky accidentally got some pear in her nose from laughing at us. It's a thing. Don just about spit the wine a couple times, but laugh. Find your laughter. Whatever it is that makes you laugh. Good friends, good times, a good book. Um, so there's this series by it's the Stephanie Plum books. One for the Money is one of the books. It turned into a movie. The movie was nowhere near as funny as the book. If you want a good laugh, read the book. Seriously, it's hilarious. Yeah, it's really, really funny. Dance. Dance like nobody's watching, or dance like somebody is watching. You know what? Just dance. Whether it's a slow dance, dance with the kids, the grandkids, the cat, the dog, your significant other. Just dance. It's just, yeah, whatever it is. Dance around. Have a good time. Connect with your community. A little harder right now in our world, unfortunately. It's harder to connect with the community. That's just all there is to it. But if you feel called to do it, make masks for the medical workers. That's a thing. Volunteer at the food bank, the animal shelters, foster a pet. Connect with your community. There's all sorts of people out there that need some help doing something. And just, whatever it is that helps you connect with your community. If you're in a coven or a circle, prayer group, poker meeting or poker night, whatever it is, if whatever it is that you're doing to connect with the people around you, do it. Go bowling. I don't know. Volunteer. Volunteer work is often very, very rewarding. And, volunteer to tutor. Do you know how many kids out there right now are having problems with schoolwork because mom and dad are having a hard time with the schoolwork because it's, their kiddos are in a different place in their education than mom and dad ever got to. Those kids may need some help. Volunteer to be a tutor online. You can do Zoom Connect. Zoom has a free account. Or Facebook Meetup, or Google Chat, something like that. You put yourself out there. Volunteer to help somebody with school. Practice gratitude. By golly, it is not hard to stop and say thank you. But yet, it is hard sometimes to remember to say thank you. So yeah, practice your gratitude. Think about everything that you do have right now that's good. Be grateful for what you have. Whether it's the groceries in your closet, your health, your family, your loved ones, your pets, job, no job, whatever it is that you have gratitude for. But have gratitude. And when I say have gratitude, it's not just the people around you, but you know what? Say thank you to the deities that you work with, the spirits that you work with, your ancestors that you work with, your spirit guides. Yeah, remember to say thank you. MCAT probably says thank you every time someone cuts him off and he doesn't, mow him down with the truck, because I'm sure at least one person has cut MCAT off today. So, it's real. Remember to say thank you and have gratitude. And slow down. Remember, we don't have to rush from point A to point B to point C without stopping. And you smell the flowers, eat the oranges, read the book, just slow down. It just slow down a little bit. And hold yourself accountable. you know, it's hard to add a meditation routine um, to your day, because often we're so busy doing this and that and this and that. Well, slow down. You'll actually have a little bit more time. Get up a little earlier. It's okay. Um, Spend some time outside. Whatever it is you're adding to your day, hold yourself accountable to those things you're trying to do to become spiritually awakened, to be more content with oneself, to see that bigger picture, whatever it is. Um, read some books. Holy cow. If you're quarantined right now, be, read some extra books. Audible often will give you a book upon signing up. Listen to the book. Or, Kindle has a lot of books for free. Amazon Prime has some books for free. Google has some books for free. So you know what? Just find some things that you can do. Read, practice, learn some new skills. A lot of libraries right now have, electronic lending. They'll lend you a book. You get the book for about a week, and then they kill the link or whatever it is they work out. So, just be aware. There are things you can work on. Remember to journal. Journal what you're experiencing. It's like, hey, today I wanted to work on meditating for 5 minutes. Well, hold yourself accountable. Hey, you know what? I actually meditated for 5 minutes. I'm going to keep doing this all week. And maybe I'll be able to do 10 minutes, MCAT, unfortunately, I get it. I don't want to talk about how many books I have on Kindle and in print. Because, yeah, I like having a physical book myself. When you're journaling, talk about your fears. What is it that scares you the most? And I'm not talking about spiders or snakes or, maybe that is a thing. What is it that you fear when you're stopping to think about your spirituality? What is it? And as we go through life, there are going to be some life lessons that are just gonna walk up to you and sit down and invite you out for a cup of coffee. And it's a thing. Just be aware and accept it when it happens. So it's just work with it. And when it comes to holding yourself accountable, it's okay. Goal boards or goal posters, that kind of thing are real. Some people use them all the time. Use a dry erase marker, write it on your bathroom mirror or whatever, your bedroom window. Whatever it is that you're going to see that's going to help you remember. And remember, I keep saying remember. Remember. You don't have to write everything out. And maybe that goal you're working on, you can symbolize it with, a star or a doodle of some sort. And it's hard, and I get it. Just remember, there's something. Sometimes you just need a touchstone, just like tying a string around your finger to remember something. Put a rock in your pocket, whatever it is to help you remember that you need to do this thing, whatever it is. Accept your shortcomings, because we all have them. Patience is often very hard for me. Really, really. And that's okay. I can accept that. Once upon a time, I had a really big temper, and I had to learn how to control it. That was a shortcoming. And I thought I had it under control. Here's the thing. I thought I had it under control. But in that whole spiritual awakening bit, I realized, no, I didn't have it under control. I just ignored it. I squashed it down and ignored it. And in ignoring my own frustration, my own angers, I stopped having or allowing myself to have other emotions. Happiness, joy, all of those things. And wow, it's when you short yourself like that, it overflows into other parts of your life. So, when we're working something out on ourselves, that's why journaling is so important. If you wake up one morning, hey, I'm not going to be angry anymore, what are you going to do to fix that? Well, if you just ignore the anger, what other emotions are you making yourself ignore because you don't want to have anger? So just be aware. And spiritual awakening, remember. You're not going to be done by the end of the week, or the end of the month, or year. It's a lifelong thing. It's a long thing. It's not just a try it once and forget it. Good morning, Marilena. It's a lifelong journey. And when you start becoming more spiritually awakened, that lifelong journey, it's not so daunting anymore either. It's because you're living in that eternal now. That lifelong journey, it's a thing. It's just a thing to experience. And it's not overwhelming, and it's not frustrating, and it's not horrible. It's just part of the process. And accepting that some things are just part of the process reduces your stress, reduces your worry. And once you reduce your stress and your worry, man, life is just so much easier. It's less stressful. It's less anger. It's less worry. It's less making yourself sick because you've got so many things on your mind, and you're always go, 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 that you never stop and slow down. And yeah, MCAT, you're right. You aren't just you. You're a loose collection of several mini personalities with their own goals and ways to achieve them. Yeah, you really are. Because I know I've said it in the past, but you are the sum of all your parts, and you have to learn how to love all your parts. Your anger, your happiness, your jealousy, your envy, all of it. You have to learn how to accept all of those bits and pieces of you, because all of those different emotions react to different situations differently. You can't just apply, one band-aid and cover it all. You're interacting with each of those things to figure out how to be you. And often different parts of you are going to come out more when you're around different people. I'm sure all of you have been around long enough to know you're one person at work, you're another person around your family, another person around your friends, sometimes another person around your significant other, around your kids, people at the grocery store, people online, different online groups, etc., etc. Even though those are all slightly different aspects of yourself, yeah, they're still all you. And yeah, Naysay, you're right. You all have different masks that we wear. We really do. And they all vary a little bit with the different circumstances. We need to be aware of that. And yeah, once you learn how to be authentic to yourself, suddenly you don't have quite as many masks to juggle. You don't have to remember who you are with any one group. And yeah, if you're the same person, no matter who you're around, and you know that, hey, this is who I am. I don't care who you are. This is me. That's what bothers me. That's what I'm worried about, is who am I. then yeah, your blood pressure is going to be less. It's not so much that you don't give a shite. It's more what other people around you are doing has less impact to you, has less negativity, less burden to you, if you will. And yeah, less stuff for you to manage and juggle and figure out and sort, and fewer bags to carry. Because who wants to carry baggage? I don't. I'm too old for baggage. My back hurts. I ain't got no time for that. So, just be aware. Oh yeah, Ruthie goes, people hate it when you know who you are. Yeah, they do. They're afraid of it. Because if you know who you are and they don't know who they are, they fear that. It's like a superpower. They don't get it, and it's scary. And you know what? It probably is scary because they're so busy trying to make everybody happy about who they are that, you know what? They don't know how to be themselves. They don't know how to be authentic to themselves. So when someone is authentic, they don't know how to respond to that. They really don't. It's scary. Intimidating. You know why? Because it's powerful. Very, very powerful. And yeah, exactly, pharmacy. They get jealous. They do. They want what you have. And yeah, it's their own fears. It's their own insecurities. It's their own ego. And so yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that was just me, my 5 cents tonight on spiritual awakening. And it's work. Remember that. It's not easy, but it is really, really rewarding. And when you're in it and going through it, it feels great. Scary sometimes, but it feels great. And you never lose that rush of that experience, and it's just feels good. So, on that note, if you want to support the show, you can always go to the Patreon. So that's patreon.com/those spaces between. You can also go to the Etsy shop. That's etsy.com/shop/Monarch Mountain Studio. And if you want to send me an email, please do so. It's wildepaisley@gmail.com. That's WILDEPAISLEY@gmail.com. Let's see. Oh, iLife. It's a CBD ayahuasca combination. It's not gonna, give you any hallucinations or trips or anything like that. It's just a good CBD oil. I use it for mini-me because you know what? I do. I do have a PayPal. Hold on, Elaine. I'll find it for you. I use it. I use the iLife on mini-me because, well, you know what? She periodically gets fevers and such, and I want her to not not have that fevers and illness and stuff. So yeah, it's become a thing. And I really, really, really like that she doesn't get the fevers anymore when she is on the iLife. And I'm trying to find it, Elaine. I had a link. I just don't have it saved in a easy place. Oh, here's a long donate button. I do have a donate token. Look at that. Here you go. If you want to donate to the show, there you go. I'll put it in a real Bitly account or something so it's easy. Yeah, support the show. I love support. I'm kidding. No, I do actually. But yeah, thanks for joining all tonight. I hope you guys have a lovely Saturday evening for you, those of you in Saturday World still. For those of you into Sunday Land, I hope you have a very, very good Mother's Day. And, treat your mom, say hi, say hello, tell them you like them still. You may not love them, but you can at least like them a little bit. Um, Tell them thank you for, giving birth to you. Yep, we'll be back next weekend, and um, talking about energy frequencies and that kind of thing. Sounds like a good idea. Um, Check out Brent and Don. I'm sure that they will have some sort of video footage from going squatching tonight. And wow, yeah. Oh yes, fun Mom's Day. I want to sleep in for Mother's Day. That's my wish. That and a singing bowl. Please, putting it out there. Night before Mother's Day. It could happen, right? Mini me could, commute into town and, get me a singing bowl. Isn't that the way it works? Good night, all. Thank you for joining. So merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. And I hope you all have a very lovely day. Thanks for joining.
I, O Lord, within the sun, as we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done.